everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I introduce Muhammad Atlik. He will be accompanying me tonight. He is a wonderful artist from Jordan, Palestine, and he will be illustrating the 7 dreams that I'll be telling you about. I'm very happy to be here in Markara DPS. Thank you for the invitation. Shall we start, Atlik? Yes. You ready? Okay, cool. My name is Dima Khatib. I'm a journalist, a real journalist, hardcore journalist. I've been working for Al Jazeera for 21 years. I started as an intern. I was probably 25 or 26 when I started with Al Jazeera. I was the little girl that nobody wanted to deal with because she's just an intern who doesn't know how to do anything around. And I grew to be now one of the executives of Al Jazeera and the only woman executive in Al Jazeera Media Network. Thank you. And actually, I go around the world talking about female leadership because even in Europe and the United States, women do not achieve these top positions because of many, many reasons. So I thought it would be really good for people like you to know how we build up our dreams and how these dreams draw the path that make us who we are today. I want to start with where I grew up. So I grew up in Damascus, Syria, of a Palestinian father. He's a Palestinian refugee, self-made man who was forced to be out of his land and his home when he was 16. And I grew up in a traditional society, Muslim society. My parents were very open, but I still faced all the weight of tradition, being a female. Although at home, I have to say that my parents really supported me, treated me equally to my brother. No difference between female and male. But out on the street, it was a different matter. So I consider one of the first challenges of my life was how to be a female and succeed what I wanted to be. So what I wanted to be was a pianist. I put all my energy into learning piano. I studied piano for 8 years. I would practice up to 5 or 6 hours a day after school, after the normal school. So I could make it into a good, decent music school in the future. I wanted to go, sorry about that, I wanted to go to Moscow and study in the Moscow Conservatory. So you reach a point in your life, although you've been building since childhood a dream like a piano, where you suddenly realize that this is not where your talent is. I realized that when I traveled for the first time outside of Syria and I went to the United States of America. And I realized that I already spoke 3 languages, Arabic, French, and English. And that nobody in the whole school spoke any language but English. And that I was very talented at that. And I decided maybe I'm not so talented at piano. Maybe I can offer something else to the world, the languages I speak. So I decided to change that dream of piano without actually realizing that dream. And unfortunately, I aborted it. And I walked away from it. And it's fine to walk away from your dreams, even if you do not realize them. I never became a pianist, but I'm very proud that I tried. I still play piano today. So it's aborted, but it's still there. It's part of me. And I decided I was going to be a translator, because I can use all this talent of the languages I speak, and today I speak 8 languages. So I aimed very high again. I'm not going to go to the music conservatory. I'm going to go to the best school in the world for translation and interpretation, and that's in Geneva University. And to do that, I had to become extremely proficient in the languages that would be my main languages. And when I first turned up at the school in Geneva, you had to take this test. And they said, there's 400 of you in this room today. By next week, when you have taken the test, there'll be less than 100 left. And by the end of the 4th year, only maybe half or less will make it out of the school with a diploma. It was really scary to think that I could be one of the ones eliminated at any stage. But that kind of situation actually pushes you into thinking, no, I don't want to be that one eliminated. I want to make my parents proud because I told them now I want to do something completely different to what I had wanted to do. So I made it. I went into the Geneva School of Translation. I graduated, and I got a job at the UN as a translator. The dream of my parents, of everybody in our neighborhood, everybody's in my family was work for the UN. There I am only 23, and I'm making like $5,000 a month, no tax. And I'm living in Geneva, and I am just living the realization of that dream. And by the way, I studied thanks to a scholarship that I got from the UNESCO. When you work hard, you can also convince others to help you achieve your dreams. So I made the $5,000, and after 2 months, I quit the job. Nobody in my class, so in the same year that graduated, had gotten a job at the UN. It was just me. And I did not even apply for it. It was the UN that approached me. And after 2 months, I was wearing suits, I was being the UN person. I quit the job, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents that I was quitting the UN job. Why did I quit the job? Because I realized that translation meant that I will be always repeating what others were thinking. And I thought, what about what I think? What am I going to tell the world about my thoughts? I cannot be spending all my time just repeating the same ideas that others say and say them in a different language. On top of that, because the UN was a very stagnating environment, let's say, I was seeing that what I was doing was not changing anybody's life. It was not doing anything to anyone. These delegates listening to my interpretation were not doing anything about what they were hearing about Rwanda back then from the delegate that was speaking about Rwanda. So after realizing this dream and making it all the way, I decided it's time to abort this dream. So how can I become the person that I want to be after all of that? I thought, journalism. I can express my ideas, I speak the languages, now I'm going to become a journalist. But how do you become a journalist when you did not study journalism? Well, I was lucky, thanks to the languages that I speak, that people thought, oh, she could translate the news, she could translate that, she could translate this, and everybody treated me as a translator. And I'm like, no, I'm a journalist. I'm like, no, you're not. And it's true, I was not. But I believed so much that I could become a journalist that, you know, all those comments of you're just a translator, you cannot do it, blah, blah, blah. And plus, all the people that thought that being a translator was better than being a journalist because they looked up to me speaking all those languages. So I joined Al Jazeera as an intern, and I had very little experience with journalism. And I started literally as a kind of a translator because everybody was like, oh, you can translate this small bite for me. You can translate this interview for me. And actually, I applied 3 times to Al Jazeera. First time, they said, you're not good. Second time, they didn't get back to me. And it was the third time they said, we're giving you an internship. And it was because I heard all those comments all the time that I would not be the journalist. I think that's what drove me to read a lot. I read lots of books. I wanted to catch up on all those books that I was going to read in university if I had studied journalism. And slowly, with all those comments, even more towards me being a girl, and I was different, I had short hair, I was wearing pants, it was a little bit different to the way other girls were, I started pushing myself even more, especially the men who were saying, what's this girl doing around here? Why is she handing us stories to do? Because I slowly grew into managing teams, even though I didn't want it. So from there, because I speak the languages, I wanted to go to Latin America to tell the Arab world about this other side of the world that they don't know about. The success of Latin America, the stories of Latin America. And I struggled, I think, for 6 years nagging in the corridors. Take me to Latin America. We want a budget. Here's a budget. Take me to Latin America. We want a proposal. Here's a proposal. Take me to Latin America. Where do you want to go in Latin America? What are you going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. For 6 years, I was nagging like crazy. Until one day they called me and they said, well, girl, pack your things. You're going away. And I'm like, are you sending me to Latin America? They're like, no, we're sending you to China. Like, but I don't speak Chinese. You know, I speak Spanish. I learned Portuguese as well because I thought they would send me to Brazil. And now you're sending me to China. I don't speak Chinese. I don't know anything about China. And they go, well, you have 10 days to find out about China. So here I go again. I'm like reading books and learning a little bit of what I thought I could learn in 10 days of Chinese. I moved to China and I stayed there for about 2.5 years. I set up Al Jazeera's bureau in Beijing. And it was, thank you, it was not that hard, to be honest, because I had never been to a bureau of Al Jazeera in my life. So I could do anything I want of it, what I thought should be done in a bureau. So it was very nice. And of course, I had to learn Chinese, I had to adapt. And then I went to Latin America. After that, Al Jazeera said, you still want to go to Latin America? And I went to Latin America and I stayed for almost a decade. And I became like, well, he's drawing a rocket. Yeah, I felt I was like a rocket. I was just reporting from all over Latin America, telling the Arab world about these success stories, the revolution, the anti-imperialism, the indigenous people, the fight for freedom, the fight for independence. And I thought, this is so inspiring. This is what I want to tell the Arab world about. I became literally much more the journalist that I became was much more than the journalist that I wanted to become to start with. But that's thanks to all those other things that I had done. That's thanks to the languages I spoke in my first dream. That's thanks to the discipline and the respect I learned when I studied piano vigorously for five hours a day practicing. I believe that your dreams build up. So after I achieved this dream, and I have to say I achieved it much more than... Can I take it? خليها. ليش? You want to build on it? Okay. Sorry. Okay. أخذها. Okay, so after I achieved this dream, I will keep this one, I will not abort it. After I achieved it, something very unexpected happened. I had turned, because of the male-dominated society that we live in, and journalists in particular, I think I had turned into a male with time. I was acting like very decisive, not emotional, because I didn't want anybody to think, oh, Dima cannot do this because she's too emotional, she's a woman. So I was like, yeah, I'm not emotional, I don't feel anything, I'm capable of doing anything. And I think that became like behavioral in my attitude, that I think I was acting like a male in a way, until like something grew in my belly. And I realized, oh my God, I am female and I'm going to be a mom. It was very unexpected, and it totally changed my focus in life. And suddenly, I didn't want to be the big journalist that I wanted to be. I just wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to be the best mom that can ever be to this child that was born. And there was conflict between that journalist that had become so successful and the mom that I was becoming. So I had to make a sacrifice. I stopped working. I said I'm staying home with my son because he needs not a mom on TV in war zones. He needs a mom with him. I need to teach him my values. I need to teach him what made me what I could have been, the pianist I could have been, or the journalist and the translator I could have been. And that's a dream that I consider, you know, sort of half-half. I don't know. I am working on it. It's not something that I've completed because he's not going to let me take it because it's not complete. It's true, because being a mom will be a lifetime challenge. Because I became a mom, I stayed home. I had a lot of time, so I was online. And what did I do online? I started writing. I wrote a book. I became an influencer on social media. And that's what gave me the opportunity, thanks to that, to become the managing director of AJ Plus later on. If I had stayed the same journalist, I'd probably still be in Venezuela, still reporting on Latin America. I would not have grown to the person that I've grown with AJ Plus today. And I consider the dream of becoming this best mom is what made me learn the set of skills that I use every day in management. Actually, this is how I deal with crisis. I become a mom. I put myself in the shoes of the other person. No matter what your child does at home, they destroy the whole house, you will forgive them and you will find a solution and you will love them again. And I deal with that every day in my daily life. I deal with those kind of situations in that same way. So I consider that the time I spent being a mom is what qualified me for the job that I got being AJ+. And AJ+ became this new dream for me that I didn't want for myself. I wanted to make it very successful and spread it into different languages. And wow, and for the past 3 years, we've managed to be like top 10 Facebook in the US. We are number 2 now in France and Facebook. We are in the Arab world rocking. We are Ajota Plus Español in Mexico. And the languages that I learned while being a translator helped me a lot in achieving that, because I can communicate and I understand those societies from those past dreams. And yeah, I must say I'm very happy with what we have achieved so far in AJ+, and that we will continue working on making more success. And then I have this super dream. Can I take it now? Please. I have this super dream that I have not achieved yet. It's going to Palestine. And that's not a dream I choose. That's a dream that I inherited from my grandmother. She was 9 months pregnant when she was taken out of her house. She walked all the way to the border. And when she reached Lebanon, she gave birth to my auntie. And when she tried to go back, she was told it's not her country anymore. So she said to me before she died, and she died here in Qatar, please go back walking. Do not go back in any other way. ارجعي يا ستي مشي. She said, you have to go back the way they got me out. So unfortunately, every time I try to go to Palestine, I am denied entry. So until today, this remains the most challenging dream of my life. And I will take it with me today because it's the one thing that I have not achieved and I have not chosen. You don't choose all your dreams. Some of them just come with you when you're born. And my 7th dream today, I have not decided it yet because I have learned. I'm 47 today. I think I have many more dreams, which I don't even know about. So I have not decided what the next dream is going to be. It can be anything. Maybe I'll tell you about it in my next talk. Thank you very much. Wow, cool. Thank you.